Hey there, creative minds! Welcome to PsycKeys, where we unlock the secrets of your brain. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of creativity. Ever feel like your creative well has run dry? Well, get ready to prime that pump with some seriously quirky psychological tricks. These aren't your run-of-the-mill tips. We're talking mind-bending techniques that'll make you see your creative process in a whole new light. So grab your thinking cap and let's get those creative juices flowing. The rubber duck method. Have you ever tried explaining your creative block to a rubber duck? It sounds absurd, but hear me out. This technique, borrowed from software debugging, involves articulating your problem out loud to an inanimate object. The act of vocalization forces you to break down complex ideas into simpler terms, often leading to unexpected insights. A study at Stanford University found that explaining concepts to others, even imaginary listeners, significantly improves understanding and problem-solving abilities. Here's how to do it. Find a quiet space and grab any object. It doesn't have to be a rubber duck. Start by stating your creative problem or goal. Then explain it as if you're teaching a complete novice. Be detailed and don't skip steps you think are obvious. As you speak, pay attention to any moments where you struggle to explain something clearly. These are often areas where your thinking might be fuzzy or where there's potential for new ideas. For example, let's say you're stuck designing a new logo. You might start, "Okay, duck, I need to create a logo that represents growth and innovation. The company's main color is blue, but I'm struggling to make it feel dynamic." As you continue explaining, you might realize you've been fixating on literal representations of growth and that a more abstract approach could work better. The 6 thinking hats technique. Imagine your brain as a hat rack with 6 different colored thinking hats. Each color represents a different thinking style: facts, emotions, caution, benefits, creativity, and process. By consciously wearing each hat, you force your brain to approach problems from multiple angles. This method, developed by Edward de Bono, has been used by major corporations to boost creative problem-solving. Let's break it down. White hat. Focus on the facts and information available. What do you know about the problem? Red hat. Explore your gut reactions and emotions. How do you feel about the situation? Black hat. Consider potential risks and challenges. What could go wrong? Yellow hat. Think optimistically. What are the benefits and opportunities? Green hat. Generate creative ideas and alternative solutions. What wild ideas can you come up with? Blue hat. Manage the thinking process itself. What's your plan of action? To use this technique, spend a few minutes wearing each hat in turn. The reverse assumption technique. Ready for a brain bender? Take everything you assume about your creative problem and flip it on its head. This technique, championed by innovation expert Michael Michalko, forces you to challenge ingrained assumptions and can lead to groundbreaking ideas. Here's how to apply it. List all your assumptions about the problem or project. Reverse each assumption. The more outrageous, the better. Use these reversals to spark new ideas. For example, if you're designing a chair, assumption: chairs need legs. Reversal: what if chairs didn't need legs? New idea: a chair that hangs from the ceiling or uses magnetic levitation. Assumption: chairs are for sitting. Reversal: what if chairs weren't for sitting? New idea: a standing chair that supports a leaning posture for active workspaces. This technique led to innovations like Square, the mobile payment company, which revolutionized point-of-sale systems by asking, what if cash registers didn't need to be stationary? Remember, the goal isn't necessarily to implement these reversed assumptions, but to use them as springboards for innovative thinking. The random word stimulation. Here's a fun one. Open a dictionary, point to a random word, and force a connection between that word and your creative problem. This technique leverages the brain's ability to form associations, often leading to unexpected creative leaps. To use this method: 1. Select a random word. You can use a dictionary, a random word generator, or just look around and choose an object. 2. List its characteristics, associations, and functions. 3. Force connections between these attributes and your problem. For example, let's say you're designing a new coffee shop layout and your random word is tree. Trees have branches. Could the shop have different themed branches or sections? Trees provide shade. How can we create cozy shaded nooks for customers? Trees grow. Could the shop layout be modular, growing to accommodate busy times? In a famous example, the invention of roll-on deodorant was inspired by the humble ballpoint pen. The smooth rolling action of the pen was applied to create a new way of applying deodorant. What wild connections might your brain make? The 30 circles exercise. Grab a piece of paper and quickly draw 30 circles. Now, set a timer for 3 minutes and transform as many circles as you can into recognizable objects. This exercise, popularized by IDEO, a leading design firm, primes your brain for rapid ideation and helps overcome the fear of imperfect ideas. The key principles here are: 1. Quantity over quality. The goal is to generate as many ideas as possible, not perfect ones. 2. Embrace the obvious. Don't reject easy ideas. They can lead to more innovative ones. 3. Build on ideas. If you draw a sun, the next circle could become a moon or a planet. Researchers at the University of California found that quantity often breeds quality in brainstorming sessions. By forcing yourself to come up with many ideas quickly, you push past the obvious and into more creative territory. This exercise isn't just about drawing. The principles can be applied to any creative process. Writing. Generate 30 possible opening lines for your story. Music. Create 30 short melodic phrases in 10 minutes. Product design. Sketch 30 quick variations of your product idea. Remember, the goal is to silence your inner critic and let your ideas flow freely. The embodied cognition hack. Did you know that your physical actions can influence your thoughts? This is the principle of embodied cognition. It suggests that our cognitive processes are shaped by our body's interactions with the environment. To use this hack: 1. Identify the core action or feeling related to your creative problem. 2. Physically act out or embody that concept. 3. Pay attention to new thoughts or ideas that emerge. For example, if you're writing a story, physically move like your characters. How does a nervous character walk? How does a confident one stand? Designing a product? Mimic using it with your hands. How does it feel? What motions come naturally? Stuck on a business strategy? Try physically arranging objects to represent different aspects of your business. A study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants who gestured while explaining a math problem were more likely to come up with new ways to solve it. The physical act of gesturing helped them explore the problem space more fully. This technique can be particularly powerful for abstract problems. If you're tackling a complex issue like improving team communication, try physically arranging team members, represented by objects, in different configurations. The act of moving these objects around can spark new insights about team dynamics. The borrowed genius technique. Choose a person you admire, could be Einstein, Frida Kahlo, or even your quirky aunt, and ask yourself, how would they approach this problem? This method, inspired by the work of psychologist Robert Dilts, helps you break out of your usual thinking patterns. Here's how to apply it. First, choose your genius, someone known for their creativity or problem-solving skills. Next, research their approach to problems or their general philosophy. Then, imagine stepping into their shoes and viewing your problem from their perspective. Ask yourself, what would they focus on? What questions would they ask? What unconventional approaches might they try? For example, if you're stuck on a business problem, you might ask, how would Steve Jobs approach this? He might focus on user experience and design simplicity. How would Leonardo da Vinci tackle this? He might look for connections between art and science. This simple shift in perspective can unlock fresh ideas by tapping into the characteristics we associate with these inspirational figures. Remember, the goal isn't to perfectly mimic these individuals, but to use their perceived approach as a tool to shift your own perspective. The Synectics Approach. This is where things get really wild. Synectics, developed by George M. Prince and William J.J. Gordon, involves making the familiar strange and the strange familiar. It's all about creating unusual analogies to gain new perspectives on a problem. Here's how it works. First, state your problem or goal. Then generate analogies from completely unrelated fields: nature, history, art, etc. Explore the analogy in depth, noting its characteristics and functions. Finally, force connections between the analogy and your original problem. For example, if you're designing a new app interface, you might ask, how is this app like a beehive? This could lead to ideas about efficient information flow, user roles, or a hexagonal design pattern. In what ways is navigating this app similar to exploring an ancient city? This might inspire ideas about discovery, hidden features, or a map-based interface. The key is to push beyond superficial comparisons and really dig into the analogy. If you're comparing your project to a tree, don't stop at it grows. Consider its root system, how it adapts to seasons, its relationship with other organisms, etc. This technique has been used in fields ranging from product design to conflict resolution. It forces your brain to make unexpected connections and see old problems in a new light. The Constraint Paradox. Here's a mind bender. Sometimes the key to unlocking creativity is to impose more constraints, not fewer. This counterintuitive approach is based on the psychological principle that limitations can actually spur creative thinking. To apply this technique, first, identify your creative challenge. Next, impose an arbitrary, even absurd constraint. Then, work within that constraint to generate ideas. For example, if you're designing a logo, limit yourself to using only triangles. If you're writing a story, make every sentence exactly 6 words long. If you're composing music, use only 3 notes. These constraints force you to think beyond your usual patterns and find innovative solutions. Famous examples include Dr. Seuss wrote Green Eggs and Ham using only 50 unique words on a bet. The French literary group Oulipo created entire novels without using the letter E. In architecture, Frank Gehry often imposes material constraints to drive innovative designs. The key is to choose constraints that are challenging enough to force new thinking, but not so restrictive that they shut down creativity entirely. You can always relax the constraints later, but you might be surprised at the innovative ideas that emerge when you're forced to work within strict limitations. Wow, what a journey through the quirky landscape of creativity. We've explored everything from talking to rubber ducks to embracing random words and imposing wild constraints. Remember, creativity isn't about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about actively engaging your brain in new and unexpected ways. Some of the world's most groundbreaking ideas came from people who dared to think differently. If you enjoyed this video and want to unlock more secrets of your mind, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. This is PsycKeys, signing off.